Mhm. YouTube is setting up. Here it comes. Okay, I think we're live now on YouTube, and we're recording an episode of the Distributed Conversations podcast, and so we're going to start, and you're in the background seeing what's going on, and so let's start with talking about my guest. Hello. Let me see. I got to pull up something here first. Yes, really in the middle of it. Okay, now I got my notes. Hi, Warren Whitlock here with another episode and interview for Distributed Conversations, where we look at the at what the future is going to be, and we know it's going to be more distributed, and that's what we're here for. Today, I've got a guest. Thanks to the wonders of Zoom and YouTube and everything, we're on live with me in Las Vegas and my guest, Rodolfo Andragnes. I'm saying that with an English pronunciation. I will give him a chance to correct me here in a moment. He's founder of Bitcoin Argentina and the conference that's coming up here really soon called Latin America Bitcoin and Blockchain Conference, which, but he also owns bitcoins.com. This guy's been in it forever. So we're going to get caught up. I'm going to learn some things, and we're going to learn about why it's important to know about what's going on way down there in Argentina. Welcome to the show. Please say your last name.
Thank you. My name is Rodolfo Andragnes.
Yeah, okay.
Harder.
I'm going to call you Rodolfo.
Rodolfo.
Okay.
As long as it's not the red-nosed reindeer, it's okay.
Yes, it's actually a name I could pronounce quite well if I tried. I did grow up in southwestern United States with plenty of people speaking Spanish, but I'm an old lazy white guy. So, but let's get right into it. You were there. I assume I'm not going to get you to admit you're Satoshi today, but you were right there from the start. How did you know so early on to get into Bitcoin?
No, actually, the thing is, I had this project with the same name about 13 years before. Yes, right. During the .com bubble, remember all this .com? So I was building my own .com.
Right.
And I thought about this name, about bit as the smaller unit of account or concept of data in digital, and coin as a unit of account, no? Things that you have a value. So I thought the same name, Bitcoins. I had I did buy the website, the bitcoins.com.
Right.
I don't know why I did not buy bitcoin.com too, but anyway.
It might have been available at the time.
Yes, it was. Actually,
I missed out. I didn't get my last name, Whitlock. And I was sure that it was available. There's many companies named that. There's towns called Whitlock. But
this is the thing. I'm sure that if you check the Google, you have more times the word Bitcoins than the word Bitcoin said. Yep. Yes, I guess it's more like Bitcoins. So in year 2000, I registered Bitcoins as this is Bitcoins.
Well, yeah, and if you're going to create a coin, you don't want just one.
Yeah, actually. But then the website bitcoin.com was bought 8 years later. So really? It was obviously available, bitcoin.com. And I had
you're 8 years ahead of Satoshi.
Yeah.
Or whoever bought that site. I don't remember exactly that part of it. So, and did you get into Bitcoin early on like that? Or did you wait?
No, I get into Bitcoin in 2011. Yes, I was being, people was trying to buy me the domain. Yes, but I was here before even the first conference around, I think the first conference was around May or June of 2011. Yes.
Okay.
And I was already trying to sell the domain back in March, April.
Okay.
So I went into big negotiations with this, and I was negotiating with the two main exchanges at that time, MTGOX and TradeHill. And when I finally sold the domain to MTGOX, to Mark Carpeles, the guys of TradeHill, just 1 week after, like 2 days after I sold the domain to Mark Carpeles, they said that they had rented Bitcoin.com to someone else. So it was like a marketing strategy to get Bitcoins.com, but someone win the game to MTGOX. You remember MTGOX, no? You was here.
It's I can remember a couple of the better ideas I've ever had come from trying to do something and going a different direction. And I'm of the opinion that most worthy goals wind up being tossed aside and going someplace else to finally get to the end result. There's no straight path to success.
But this is the thing. I've been lucky, very lucky, yes, with having this domain. But it has not only to do with what you get in luck, but what you do with that luck. No, it's not about being lucky and buying Bitcoins.com so many years ago and being paid for it. But then what one decides to do with that, no? Once you have the opportunity, if you seize the opportunity or you don't. And I think that's what I did after this. I was grateful, yes, of being able to understand something so disruptive as it seemed to be back then, not 2011, the technology. And then in 2013, I decided to give back all this to help others to understand what I had the chance to understand. So I started the Argentinian NGO. I started LABITCONF, the main conference in the region. I started a Bitcoin center, yes, 500 square meters building here in Buenos Aires. I started a project called LaBitcoineta, which is a band that travels around Latin America. Blockchain for Humanity, which is an NGO helping NGOs to go into Bitcoin. Bitcoin Ibero America, Blockchain Alliance, which is all the NGOs of the region together supporting decentralized blockchains, so public blockchains against the private blockchains. And like this, I started, I had this good opportunity of going into Bitcoin just because of luck. But I had my attitude was giving back. No.
Yeah, it's like I say. I think I got in somewhat similar. I was somebody that could have been setting up a mining rig. I had a spare computer. I was ready. I was thinking about it, and I said, "No, I'm done with computers. I'm going to try something else." I was doing mostly advising already, consulting back then in publishing industry. And you're right. Had I done something, I can tell the story of what I nearly did, and it means nothing, but I didn't do it. Other things I have done in life, fortunately, but that one, and it was because I jumped on a lot of things, and some of them were just dumb or didn't go anywhere. I got into fax machines, selling them. And selling the services and trying to tie them to computers, even though very reluctantly, even though I said fax machines would set back email by 10 years. I was right. And I was saying that often. And then 10 years later, I realized I've done, piddling amount of money in selling fax services and tying into what I did. I distributed a newsletter by fax that was going out to thousands of people, all opt-in. All these things, but always trying to do this and that with it and trying to convert it to computers. And I realized the one thing I didn't do was get into the fax business. And I knew this. I knew that it was going to be. And then one day, suddenly people were using email by by the late 90s. And I guess that's
It
my
happens.
history. That's
I
why
think
I'm in emerging technologies today, because I no longer want to just sit on the sidelines and watch these things grow as I go ahead running a business using it. I'm a geek. I'm always at the forefront. I'm always in the future. But instead of just being a futurist, I say, let me take a little bit of part of it. So fortunately, I've hooked on.
it's not easy. It's not easy. People might understand about disruption or might understand about what could be, but it's hard to see really. I mean, if we think about internet and we think about Facebook, and actually, I mean, internet since 1994, yes, but to see and foresee what the result of such a disruption could become, it's not easy. It's not for everybody. No? So most of us are just followers of this, but some really expand beyond. No?
So yeah, I guess, it's going to be for everybody here soon. And I have to ask the American way of looking at it. I'm in the US, I'm going like, well, if you're so big in this, how come you haven't relocated? How come I don't see you up here? And, why aren't you coming to the States? We got all the money. What's going on in Latin America that we don't know about? Why is this a good place to be in blockchain and crypto?
Actually, I don't know if Latin America is a good place to be. It's a good place to be if you're a business in the sense of opportunities, business opportunities. Yes. Argentina, Latin America makes a lot of remittances, and some of them are actively, for example, in Mexico, over 10% of the remittances from US to Mexico goes through crypto. No? So, and this is a huge number. We're talking about billions and billions of dollars. So actually, you have like a whole group of countries where we are suffering inflation, where we are not allowed to go into a regular dollar, but just to a black market dollar, and doing so, it's like going into the illegal trades, which is common for sure. And actually, illegal is keeping the dollar so fake, no? But and you have a community of people that if you are able to address them and to raise the awareness into them, for them it's easier to understand the problems and what Bitcoin brings in comparison to regular currency, you know. Because for an American, for example, talking about inflation, it's at 2% or stuff like that. Yes, in Argentina, talking about inflation, it's at 60, 70, 80, 90, and in Venezuela, it's thousands. So it's like the concept is different. No, we know it harder for a harder way, the problem that inflation creates. We know how banks really print money. And for you, it's like a surprise that you printed 35% of the of all the monetary, yes, all of the fiat was printed at 35% on top of that. But in Argentina, it's regular. I mean, we ran out of paper, so and we need to import our cash. So it's, I mean, the region, it's a good region if you are able to address it. Now, to put a business in there, okay, but then you need to understand each of the countries, which are the benefits or such. For example, Uruguay, it's becoming like a good hub for crypto companies. Yes, they have a good social situation, a good taxes proposals for new companies. They have it's a good place to, from there, do business in the region. But for example, Argentina, unless you're an Argentinian wanting to do business from here, I doubt that you need to come down here and put a business in crypto. Now, the industry, our ecosystem of entrepreneurs and developers in crypto and blockchain in Argentina is very good. It's really a very high quality level of developers and And we have, for example, the guys from Decentraland and the guys from Zeppelin, which is one of the biggest audit platforms in the blockchain space. Coinfirm, but remember the guys from RSK. So it's a very good country in the sense of human resources and high quality developers, but as a trustful country to put your money in, I don't know.
Well, it seems like that's an actual, you know, and of course I was asking the question somewhat facetiously. I live in Las Vegas, where we think of it being outside of California has an advantage. I'm a Californian that moved here on purpose, and right now that seems to be a trend that's going on, and people are getting fed up, and some of the prices have gotten to be ridiculous. But it's still, there's something to be said. You've got to be where things are happening. Now, the world could be changing. The future could be that it really doesn't matter where you are physically. More so, that's a trend that I don't think it will ever get to the point that New York City or Silicon Valley are not important for certain things. Singapore is certainly a good place to be for blockchain and for entering Asia and all sorts of things. Hong Kong was, until, you know, they had a little bit of problem in the last couple of years. So there are these places that have been naturally legal structure or whatever, better places to be. And of course, the capital coming in from different places. But I think now it matters less. And I think that's one of the beauties of a distributed systems in general.
Actually, it is. This is actually why we fight, or why we are here, no? Promoting these decentralized distributed platforms to actually, one of the things I see right now, it's like there is a big concern in general around the world, but also actively here in Latin America, yes, about the exchanges and making laws for them and all these things. But then you see the blossoming of these decentralized exchanges and platforms that it's like, okay, come on, regulate, but we are building decentralized tools to opt out from your rules. So I think that somehow, not today, not tomorrow, no, immediately, but this industry, it's like a fish, no? It moves in the water.
So in Argentina, what I know of is in stories of hyperinflation and times like that. I went through the 80s. I'm guessing you're younger than me. Is there a lot of thinking back about when things were really bad in currency? Does that affect your psyche down there?
Actually, it's not when, it's now. Now it's really bad.
Is there still hyperinflation now?
Well, define really bad. We are in a big inflation. Yes, we're around 60, 70% yearly, and it's big enough. Yes.
So converting your money into
an active
cryptocurrency is more important.
Yeah. I mean, this is an active concern of every single Argentinian today.
Got it.
Yes, these currency issues, and that makes, I think that beyond pandemia, beyond all these things of digitalization, so people goes into digital money. I mean, it's easier to understand here that Bitcoin is not only digital money. Yes, it's beyond. It's like a new monetary system, but because you expect to find a new monetary system. Yes. So I think that people that goes into crypto in Argentina, Argentina and some other countries, no, they have a possible better understanding of what it comes to change, rather than just being another way of turning your pesos into some sort of value. No?
Right. I mean, it seems much more real to think about I know I'm looking at what's going on in the U.S. and the way we're creating more dollars like crazy through the pandemic. And I get thinking like, it's got to all come crashing down. But now I look at, we're relatively stable to the rest of the world because they're, basing things on the dollars. Probably was a pretty smart move from somebody to establish the U.S. as the standard rather than gold or whatever. I don't know. I can't. I'm not in that pay grade, but I know one thing's for sure: the average person I talk to, adult living in Las Vegas, is not really concerned over whether or not the Fed's creating trillions of dollars more this year.
Yeah, but I guess
we're not expecting hyperinflation.
I guess the fight will come from another side. I think that the CBDCs will be the ones that start moving the balance of what dollar is, stuff like that, because now you will have these more liquid, easy access currencies that fulfill needs of quick every single need that dollar does, yes, in an easy way of having and managing. So I think that somehow the CBDCs will fight among themselves. Yes, I think that it opens like a new field of actually stable coins too, Libra and stuff like that. No, but they will fight against stable money, while Bitcoin is not in the same fight. No, Bitcoin is fighting against the monetary system itself. No, so even though you're not concerned about the $3 trillion of being printed, that might have an impact. Yes, and beyond that, I think that the big impact or the big game changer will be once we have all these crypto assets of banks and fighting among themselves in a world.
Looking out beyond, like, where do we invest, how much money we make, and how, what we can expect for the future. They're all good. I'm all for that. But you think of a world and the conflicts that we go through where a lot of it has to do with the money, whether or not it's the oil or, corruption taking the money or whatever like that. If we come up with better systems, we really open it up to where we ought to all be doing a lot more trade. Now, I'm imagining where you are, there's more international trade than I see day to day, even though, we see a lot of things being imported and whatnot. But going across the border, is that a problem that you see changing? And how will all of Latin America or all of South America do better because you're able to do trade across borders without the restrictions you have now from governments?
Actually, restrictions will be there anyway. No? The thing is that you have these tools that help you go a bit beyond of them. But then when you go beyond the restrictions, you are in the gray area, to say gray somehow. And when you talk about international transfers that they go through custom, if they go through customs, yes, then you can't go so into the gray area. This being said, yes, crypto is capable and is eventually being used also as a tool for doing these other trades, international trades. I see lots of Chinese and that kind of players doing with Brazil a lot of movements, crypto movements. In Argentina, some of it is being done. Also, some traditional and regular one. No, it's not that only on the gray side. Bitcoin is being. I mean, you can use Bitcoin in Argentina. It's legally to buy and sell Bitcoins. So actually, you can do that, but imports and exports should be done in dollars, and then this is the thing. Because this is difficult to understand sometimes. When you talk about having a blue market or a black market dollar and a regular market dollar, no? It's like in Argentina, just to give you an idea, you have 80 pesos. Yes, it's our currency. 80 pesos, it's $1 in the central bank. Yes, but no one can get that dollar. Okay. So if you want to buy dollars, you can buy them. Today, it's like you have a limit of $100, something like that. No, so let's suppose you can't buy dollars. If you buy them through the bank, this small limit, you pay 130, not 80, yes? But let's suppose you want to buy dollars, which is common. So you go to a black market place to buy them, and you buy them around 160, like twice the price of the regular dollar. And this is okay. People just know that that's the price. They buy at that price, and then they sell at a higher price, and that's it. You don't care which is the price. It's just the market price, okay? But when you are someone that exports, for example, yes, you get paid in dollars because you need to do the export recipe in dollars. Yes, I'm getting paid in dollars from, I don't know, but anyway, America. Yes, so I'm charging you $200, for example. For you, the cost is $200 of what I'm selling. But for me in Argentina, they are paying me around 60 pesos per dollar. That if I want to turn them into real dollars, I get like $50, like, because I need to buy them at 150. So this is the thing. It's like when you have this gap of dollar price, yes, and you say this is not a problem for the people because no one is. I mean, regular people don't buy dollars. Yes, it's true. Like most of the community, they don't have money to buy also dollars. But all the businesses have this issue that they get highly underpaid when they sell in dollars outside. So this also promotes people willing to do trades not being paid through the regular channels because it's a way of saving yourself.
I think the biggest tax is in the uncertainty of not being able to do that.
Always.
Now, your Fortune 500 corporations, they have currencies around the world. They get whatever done they have to. But I'm imagining a rancher in Argentina growing, with cattle doesn't know what he's going to get paid. And meanwhile, in the U.S., we maybe get cheap beef, but it's not enough to. It doesn't change my life. How much money gets paid to the Argentina rancher. And it's a mess. I recently read something about how looking at, I think they were using Japan and the US, and then they mentioned Canada. And I started thinking, wait a minute. In my lifetime, I've seen the Canadian dollar go for $1.30 US, and I've seen it go for 60 cents US. And sometimes talking to a Canadian, I'm wondering if we're from the same planet. But most of the time, my joke is we call them the sneaky foreigners because they look just like us. In other words, it's our people. There's a border there. But in the middle of the U.S., I don't worry about cross-border that much. But why is it that sometimes that's a swing of 100% with two stable countries next to each other? I don't think you can come up with two more stable countries.
Yeah, but Warren, it's the issue is talking about us. It's talking about we. There is no we. We are just one big world. I don't know. Yes. It's like all these limits and all this. Actually, being nationalist, yes, it's supporting that someone that's next to your frontier is different than you, more different than you, yes, than the one who is in the other south part of the country. Yes, right. Actually, I live next to Canada, yes, and your neighbor is much more similar to you, to your country, than the one that is in the south of Florida, yes, but no, you are different from me. Actually, no, there's no sense of this. And you know why this is like this? Why we need to have this national sentiment? Because we need to fight for choosing to whom we're paying taxes. That's the only thing. Right. I mean, if I'm saying, no, I want to pay taxes to this guy, and the other one says, no, I want to pay taxes to this guy, that's the only reason we need to have this. Because it's like the king. Yes, you have this king
My philosophy is that I have this theory that's basically if all the, and I've read a bit on this, but I'm going to condense it and call it Warren's theory, that if the government services were offered on a competitive basis, and I decided that, my house is going to be part of Argentina because I like your laws better, it's not really about the legal. It's not about, whether or not you get arrested for drugs or what the degrees of murder are and those kind of things. That has to be there. And actual defense of having an army come across the border. There's a few things that have to be taken care of. But when I want government services, I want to be able to shop for them. And I think in the digital world, we're going to have that. And so maybe I can get, better services coming out of somebody. Well, I know right now, that this is the one that has always gotten me. I live very close to Mexico all of my life. I know that there are jobs that people do, that people come from Mexico and do that I wouldn't do. And they're happy. And, and by the way, when I grew up in Southern California, any Hispanic was Mexican because they all were. And I didn't think anything of it. They were just good people that I lived with. And then something happened where we had to be worried about how we were treating them, how we were calling them. My best friend in grammar school, Manuel Garcia, I didn't know that we were different. I had no way of knowing when I was a little kid. And by the time we got in high school, he had a group of friends and I knew that they were different. And, I was a white kid and I didn't fit in with them. And that was okay. It's just, natural things we have different. I think it's great to have affinity for people that are like you, but really cut us open. We're all the same. We all bleed the same. We all want the same things. We all care about our families. And
actually, the only thing that it does is to create differences. And we create those differences because, come on, look of how my skin looks like, we are creating those differences. Yes, we are building those walls. We and Trump is building that wall.
Right. And there are evolutionary evidences that say at times those did us some good. You had, if it was just the next tribe over half a mile away, they might kill you just because they wanted the better hunting. But I don't think we need to live like that anymore. We don't need to be quite that tribal. Certainly not to the death. But
it's understandable. Everybody
to get today.
Sorry?
Cryptocurrency is bringing us all together.
Yeah, it's like imagine all the people.
Yeah, that's fantastic. All right, great. Now you're in the conference business along with everything else you do, and so you got the do we say LABITCONF or do we say do you pronounce it or do you always say
LABITCONF? No, LABITCONF.
LABITCONF.
Actually, it's like a game of word game, because
I see it and I think you're in California.
Sorry?
I think you're in California, LA.
Yes. But actually, it's in Spanish. It's an article. Yes, it's the
right.
The dog. Yes.
But of course, it's Spanish. Los Angeles is Spanish. So.
Yes. But I mean, la as a word.
Yes, I know.
It means the dog, the cat. Yes.
Right.
So it's like LABITCONF. The BitConf conference. It sounds, but actually it's Latin American Bitcoin conference.
I really hadn't thought of that. I knew Latin America. I knew what it was the whole time, but good.
Yeah.
So yes, this is me saying dumb things just to make sure we emphasize the name. LABITCONF.com. Going to put it in the notes and a link. Anybody watching and listening. However you get this, you got to go to the website just to watch the videos because, it's different. It's not like a conference being held in the financial districts of New York. This is a different attitude you have down there.
Yes, we couldn't care less about being regular stuff. No.
Yeah, and again, and with a will video or whatnot be available for somebody that shows up if for this show airing after the conference?
Yes, we will have the same website up during 3 months.
Okay,
with
good.
all the content of the events.
Good. I intend to get to see what Max and Stacy are talking about. You've got Max Kaiser.
It's a very fun. They've done a very nice video, 3D video, about Bitcoin in these other countries. No, in this.
I actually met them at Michael Turpin's Coin Agenda, and I had never heard of them before, and and immediately became a fan. I watch every day now, and so that's reason enough to go. And of course, I have seen you speak, so now I know. You were at the Coin Agenda, which I emceed, and so then
actually we hosted Mike several times in LABITCONF, Michael Turpin, yes, who leads Coin Agenda. And when he invited me, obviously I was to jump into the event of yours. But actually, I really enjoyed the talk we had there, and I was glad to participate.
Well, that's kind of the genesis of this version of my podcast. I've done other topics and other things over the years. I picked this one. It's what I'm interested in. And, and it had to be conversations. It can't just be, I'm going to break the news. That's not my style. I'm talking about big ideas and longer term. And thank you for what you shared today. I've learned. And the other thing was I was talking to Michael Turpin about where there was a need for something and a little bit more longer term thoughts than what price is Bitcoin going to be tomorrow. And I'm currently a fan of the idea you hang on to the Bitcoin. Anybody selling it or worrying about trading back and forth, I just don't get. You just buy it, you keep it, and someday you are very rich.
Absolutely.
I don't worry about taking my gold bar and being able to spend it at the grocery store. it's put away.
I don't pay with Google stocks. It's like,
exactly.
Come on.
There you go.
That's why.
And Google stock is currently about the same liquidity as.
But Warren, that's why I'm usually not so fond, or not fond. Like, I think they're too early. All these projects related to trying to make Bitcoin into the regular day-to-day expenditures. Sure. It's like, come on, unless you achieve that the company makes me a rebate, an interesting rebate for me giving you my Bitcoins, yes, it's then eventually I think about it. But really, there are reasons to spend Bitcoins. Myself, I live on Bitcoin, so eventually I will spend Bitcoins wherever they allow me to do it because I live on Bitcoins. Anyway, I need to turn them into pesos. But regular people who invested in Bitcoin and do not live on Bitcoin, they won't change their Bitcoins for buying a TV or stuff like that. They are holding. That's what they're doing. They are investing in this, so you need to convince them to spend the Bitcoins in your place. And
I think about trade imbalances and the suffering caused by all of that. Venezuela has the great natural resources, but has not been a really good place to try to earn a living for the last decade.
It's our situation. We have a very good stake on resources, every kind of resources to reach.
Same with Nigeria, problems that they have there. And whereas, you think about it, wait a minute, the banana and coffee farmers in Venezuela should be doing just fine. The world economy wants that stuff, but no, oil's worth more. So we got to balance the trade and we got to hurt I can't even understand balance of trade. That's why I bring up that US-Canada thing. I think the future is going to be a lot brighter, and global distribution, especially with the money, is very important, but also all the goods. I could buy crafts. I just saw a talk by the Overstock guy, Patrick, and he mentioned one of his pet projects. This is an old YouTube video that I happened across. One of his projects was he had been someplace, Cambodia, someplace, and he had found craftspeople And he says, why isn't this stuff selling online? And that fueled him to do certain other things. But he had a project going to get these products available. The Esti, where you can buy crafts products.
Yes.
eBay, which allows anybody to sell anything. And still there's all these national border problems and whatnot as we try to set up all this stuff. China can't do what the rest of the world does, but someday we're all going to be one global community. And I will be able to, participate in your culture without having to.
Actually, I think that's like the utopian view that we have in the space. That we do expect that sort of starts to happening with this universal currency. It's like let's be fully universal. Let's open the doors of international trade to any single person. And I mean, I think it's sort of the things that we are fighting for. It's a very long run. It's like in the very long.
Absolutely.
But
when we solve it, we'll solve for all of the problems, like is somebody dumping or, these tariff problems and all that all can be solved if we just sit down and talk and start trading. I want your goods, you want mine. Let's go ahead and make a deal. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for the live. Do go to LABITCONF and get to know Rodolfo more. I'm Warren Whitlock, Distributed Conversations, and that's it.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.